Quite honest with you, our average high for March 20th, Monday, is 66 degrees, but we only have a high of 50 degrees in the forecast for that day, and there will be several areas that still remain in the 40s for Monday. So a little bit of drizzle throughout this morning, then trending drier throughout the afternoon, and then cold for the next several mornings. But the good news is we do have a dry stretch of weather. However, temperatures will remain on the cooler side for those highs until Monday and Tuesday, but trending warmer by Wednesday and Thursday next week. 65 on Wednesday and 73 degrees on Thursday.
Yeah, those chilly temperatures out there. I hope you grabbed the jacket. You know, it is St. Patty's Day. Did you remember to walk out of the house with something green on? If not, you might be in trouble today. I do want to show you, we have a live look this morning, which is pretty awesome, coming to you from Dublin, where they're having some huge celebrations today. It's a big deal. It's been like a week-long festivity for Ireland, and you could see they do it up. They do it big. It almost looks like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. They got they're packed. They got so many people there. The parade's going, floats. They're supposed to have celebrity performances, some really big name performers that are going to be at this, and it's going to be an all-day type event. You can see it's full out. Look at that. Another close look here. So yeah, this is one of these events in Ireland. It's huge for them. Like I said, it's a week-long event of things going on, and this is going to be going all throughout the day, bringing people from all over the world to celebrate St. Patty's Day. That's a pretty cool looking float right there. I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty awesome. So if you're planning on getting out today and trying to make the most of the holiday, we're going to be checking in with Jennifer Chandler in the 9 o'clock hour here at the Digital Desk. She's going to be talking about the places you can go to catch the celebrations. I know just down the road here in Midtown, there's going to be a big all-day event, Celtic Crossing. They're putting on today. So I know that's going to be one spot for you, Dan McGinnis and South Haven. We'll go through the list with Jennifer a little bit later on this morning here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. All right, if you need a reason to smile today, this next interview is going to make you smile. We have Talisa Franklin joining us with WAVN The Trend. Talisa, how you doing?
I'm wonderful, Amanda. Hey, honey.
Hey, I'm so glad to be talking to you. I always love these interviews with you, and you're always bringing it. You always have your pulse on what's happening in the community, and so I know you've got a whole slew of things we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. You know, it's nothing like the 901, baby. Nothing compares to the 901 in the whole wide world. We are truly the best city and county this side of heaven. So listen, Memphis is always doing great things, right? But this weekend, you all, I want to invite you out to the Healing Races this Saturday at Pastor Tyrone Hunt in Whitehaven. They have an amazing race called the Healing Race. It happens this Saturday, and I want to invite everyone out. The race kicks off at 9 o'clock. It's the Healing Races of Memphis. Yes, Memphis, we are healing, and I believe we are healing together. This Saturday, listen, if you want to be a part of this great walk, it happens in Whitehaven. Yes, Whitehaven, Tennessee is what I call it, right? It's a 5K, 10K, and they added a 1 mile walk, right? So call 901-346-LIVE-5483. Listen, call that number. Say, I want to be a part of the Healing Races of Memphis. Pastor Hunt and his whole team is ready to serve you. They have been doing this Healing Races of Memphis, going down Elvis Presley for so many years. And listen, Memphis, this is a great event, and you need to be there. And there's going to be, if you can't walk, baby, then run. If you can't run, stand on the sidelines and cheer, because we're all cheering for Memphis to be completely healed, to be where we know that we should be. And then that I want you to save the day. One of my dear friends, Charles Miller, is having an amazing event at the Halloran Center, right? And what I love about what he's doing, he has all these amazing guests there. He has allowed this event to be absolutely free, and you can just give a donation at the Halloran Center, right? Charles Miller is truly an amazing artist right here in the city of Memphis that's doing absolutely incredible things. So he brought all his friends together to share the stage with him for a Love and Treat celebration right there in downtown Memphis. And listen, general admission seats are free. And so that gives you an opportunity to come out and experience the beautiful beautiful Halloran Center and support Memphis own. And his big event is happening March 31st. So you guys, let's make sure we support Charles Miller and guests March 31st at the Halloran Center. Well, we all know that we know somebody that has been affected or may need an organ and tissue donation, right? Blue and Green Day is coming up, y'all. And it's an opportunity where Mid-South Transplant in the whole wide world celebrates blue and green for the awareness of organ and tissue donation. So, Talisa, we say, why are you telling me now? It's in April the 14th. You know why? Because we need your help, Mid-South, so that you can paint the town blue and green. And so if you want a free toolkit with signage and all the information so that you can make your community, your church, your business aware of what Mid-South Transplant does, listen, all you have to do is go to the website, register, and say, I want a toolkit. It is free of charge. And so that you can join the awareness of organ and tissue donation in our city, because there's so many people on the waiting list. And kudos to the people that said yes, that I will be an organ and tissue donation. That is so important to me, Amanda, because, you know, as I share, 4 of my family members are living today because of organ and tissue. And I am grateful for the people that said yes for my family.
I remember you were sharing that with me. It may have been this time last year ahead of this event. And when you sent me this flyer this morning that said you were going to be talking about this, I was excited because there is such a need for that here in the city. And I was actually talking with someone over there the other day. We're planning to do some stuff in April where, like, maybe once a week we highlight someone's story. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about this Blue and Green Day, which, you know, I remember it last year. I'm going to be decked out, and I'm sure you will be too.
And you know this, yes, you know, your name came up the other day because we were talking. Randa Lipman is who you talked to, and she's an amazing community outreach manager over at Mid-South Transplant. And I just have the pleasure of working alongside with her, of doing what we do. And it's such a need. You know, we see, and thank God for the dialysis clinics on, I feel like they're on every corner, but they're really saving people's lives. But the ultimate gift is when people say yes, when that person or their family member life is ending on this side, if they say yes, they can extend the life of someone else just by saying yes. And so, and then a lot of people don't even understand, Amanda, that you can even be a living kidney donor. You know, another personality here in our city, Chip Washington, he was a living donor for his wife. So there's so many amazing stories in Memphis that connects us all to organ and tissue. So listen, everybody, go to the website, www.midsouhtransplant.org.
Good stuff. And I do like that you mentioned about the living donor. My dad, I can't remember if I shared with you, he was on the transplant list for a liver transplant. And so that was something I was looking at too, because you can be a living donor for something like that too. So good stuff, Talisa. I'm glad that you're talking about it and keeping the word out about the upcoming event. Anything else you want to mention before we wrap things up here?
Hey, y'all, jump on when you get through watching good old, you know, WMC5 Digital Desk and all the good things that we have over on WMC5. Tune your radios, FM 104, AM 1240, WAB in the trend. Why? Because it is the trend, baby.
I love it, Talisa. Love talking with you. Love catching up with you. And good luck with the show.
All right. Thank you, love. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
I'm doing something that I love to do.
So am I, pure and simple.
You don't do this for 26 years if you don't like it.
This month's Mid-South heroes are a pair of crossing guards with the Germantown Police Department who put on the uniform and a smile each and every day. Peggy Grammer has been a crossing guard for more than a decade, while her co-worker, Faye Lester, has been at it for over 25 years. These two are at their posts every morning and afternoon, dealing with traffic, parents, and weather.
The worst part for me is lightning. I don't mind the rain. I don't mind the cold. I don't like the hot, but I do not like lightning. Do not.
And I'm basically the same. The lightning really is the hardest part of standing out here.
I can deal with the cars. Just keep the lightning away.
I've actually been hit, not hard, by a car, but really, it's just all in a day's work.
Faye and Peggy can be seen weekdays at area schools like Houston Middle, directing parent traffic, bus traffic, and their favorite part of the job, helping students cross busy streets.
That's the draw. You just love the kids.
Faye's the best.
You don't do this job for the money or anything. You do this job for your love of the kids. And there's nothing like these babies. I mean, they're like our grandkids. They're ours, and I even have kids come back with their kids. So yeah, it's an awesome job, and that makes me feel happy that I make someone else happy.
You see them every day. You know if they're having a bad day or whatever, you're going to know it because you're one of the first people that see them.
These two heroes have a simple but important request.
These kids' lives are important, and trying to get people to stop and let us get these kids safely across the street, some days it's all we can do. And if people would just take a moment to realize that these kids' lives are in really big danger, it would be nice. Just slow down just a little bit. You might get to where you're going 2 or 3 minutes later, but you're going to get there, and our kids are going to be safe.
It's scary sometimes how close they come. Just have patience with us because we're doing the best we can, and sometimes it is in a difficult situation. And kindness always wins out.
Congratulations, Faye and Peggy. You are this month's Mid-South Heroes.
And it's no surprise that they got this month's Mid-South Hero. Just a great story there. Well, did you know that 1 in 5 people worldwide have inherited high lipoprotein A, and many people don't even know it, which is pretty scary. And that's because it's not something that's screened for, and oftentimes people don't even realize they have it or the first signs of that condition until they have a heart attack or a stroke. And that's why we're really wanting to talk about this morning and let you know all the information you need. And joining us now to share more about it is the Family Heart Foundation founder and CEO Catherine Wileman and Dr. Seth Baum, Chief Scientific Officer for Flourish Research. Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, I'm glad to have you on here because, I mean, hearing these numbers, 1 in 5 people worldwide having this and not knowing it, it's pretty alarming. And Catherine, I understand that you had a heart attack, unbelievable, age 39. And, you know, just tell us more about your story and kind of what happened.
Absolutely. So I was out gardening and I developed crushing chest pain and pain radiating down my arm. When I called the paramedics, because I was younger and I also was a female, I really had to advocate for myself for them to take me seriously. But what we discovered was that I had in fact had a heart attack because I had 100% blockage of the main artery that feeds your heart blood. And it took a little while, but I also discovered that the reason I'd had an event so young in life was because I had inherited 2 genetic conditions that led me to be at high risk. One is called familial hypercholesterolemia, which leads to high LDL from birth, and the other is elevated lipoprotein(a), which we're here to talk about today. And as you said, the thing about elevated lipoprotein(a) is that it's incredibly common. We know that about 60 million Americans are living with elevated lipoprotein(a), but what we also know from the Family Heart Foundation research is that less than 1% of Americans have been screened in the last 10 years. And it really shouldn't be that way. With genetic risk for cardiovascular disease, there's so much we can do if we find out early. And so we're really pleased to have this opportunity to talk with you and your audience about it.
And I'm sure that had to have been scary, surprising for you, and just an unbelievable situation. Were you shocked when you realized what was going on?
You know, I have to say it was terrifying. We hear that people are not very afraid of cardiovascular disease, but it still is the #1 killer in the world. And it was a horrible feeling. I felt completely powerless, and you could really feel the pressure of time that you needed the care immediately. So it was a shock.
So Dr. Baum, I want to bring you in, though, and just talk about what it means if you do have a elevated lipoprotein little a. What does that mean?
Yeah, so elevated LP little a is a bad thing. First of all, it increases risk maybe 4 times what a normal person would experience. LP little a is like a very small LDL particle. We know LDL is very bad, causes vascular disease. Well, LP little a does it. And there are 3 elements to LP little a that are particularly bad. The first is it causes plaque. That's blockage in the arteries that feed the heart, such as what Catherine had experienced, but it also causes an increase in inflammation and increases the risk of clotting. And all 3 things can conspire to cause stroke and heart attack. We know that it's inherited. So because it's inherited, what that means is if you have an elevated LP little a, you should have your whole family checked. And then finally, I would say that even though we don't have therapeutics to reduce the risk from LP little a, they're in development, they're in research right now. But what we do have are other approaches, such as reducing your LDL cholesterol, something that's not done nearly enough in the United States. We could do that more aggressively in patients with high LP little a.
So, doctor, who should get tested for LP little a, and then how is that done?
Yeah, so I'm a preventive cardiologist, and I believe everybody should be tested for LP little a. It's a simple blood test. You can find out the results very quickly. The Canadians and the Europeans have stipulated in their guidelines that everybody should be checked. We should be doing the same. You can ask your doctor for the test, or frankly, you can ask the Family Heart Foundation for some guidance, and they'll help direct you to how you can get a test.
So, Catherine, I want to talk with you again. You've dedicated your life to raising awareness about heart disease to the public. And let's talk a little bit about what the Family Heart Foundation is doing to create awareness about LP little a.
So all year long, we work with health systems and healthcare providers to put into effect more systematic screening for genetic causes of cardiovascular disease. And we really advocate with policymakers to make sure those who are born at risk have the care they need. But during the month of March, we had the opportunity to go to the public, and we really appreciate this opportunity to talk with your audience to let everybody know that this is something that exists. It's common, it's life-threatening, it's easy to screen for. And so March 24th is LP little a Awareness Day, and we hope that people will take a minute and think about whether or not they can get screened and whether or not heart disease runs in their family.
This is really important to get out there. Like you said, this is so common, and people don't know about it until they have some kind of major medical issue. Can we talk about where people can go to get some more information and read about some of the things that we've talked about this morning?
Sure. People can go to familyheart.org. We have lots of information on our website. We also have a patient navigation center so people can call and talk to a real person who's trained, if that's their preference, and learn about what they might do to protect themselves and their family.
Well, Catherine, Dr. Baum, I appreciate both of y'all joining me here on the digital desk this morning and helping to get the word out about something. Like you said, it's so important that people have the information they need. Y'all have a good one, all right?
Thanks,
Thank
you
you.
too.
Thanks so much. So let's dive back into some of the news of the day. Take a look at this map right here on your screen. Portions of I-40 and I-240 are going to be closed this weekend for a bridge inspection. So if you were planning on traveling through this area during the weekend, keep in mind you might be dealing with some delays. The Tennessee Department of Transportation crews will close I-40 east and westbound at I-240 Midtown on Sunday from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. TDOT officials say I-40 east will be detoured onto I-240 south, and I-40 westbound traffic will be shifted to I-240 south just north of Jackson Avenue. Something to be mindful of. If you're going to be traveling in that area this weekend, you don't want to deal with a traffic headache if you can avoid it, so maybe try to find another route if you can. So it's a system we all pay into. That's federal unemployment. And now a federal watchdog group says they believe unemployment fraud during the pandemic topped $60 billion. $60 billion. That is a lot of money. And one woman wants to know the plan for the next emergency after stacks of unemployment letters with various people's names were delivered to her home. Our national investigative team, Carice Jackman, explains more about this.
It's a strange type of junk mail that made Elena Schneider nervous and concerned.
I thought
our information was like compromised.
In 2020, when the country was shut down because of the pandemic and millions of Americans filed for unemployment, strange letters started flooding Schneider's mailbox from her state's unemployment office in California, addressed to people she didn't know.
The names were just so weird, like the origin of the first name and the origin of the last name like didn't ever match.
She says she never opened them, but recognized the envelopes as the same type her husband received when he applied for unemployment during the pandemic.
There was no stopping, we reported all these we sent it back. We wrote attention director, nothing ever happened.
Even more troubling, some of the letters that started coming to her address were from out-of-state unemployment offices. If you think what Schneider experienced is bizarre, it matches what experts tell us they've heard from people across the country. The U.S. Government Accountability Office, or GAO, released its new analysis. It found several examples of unemployment insurance fraud, including claims filed in multiple states. The letters mailed to Schneider's home were never addressed to her or her husband, so for her, these strange letters are a security concern.
First, agencies should have been much better prepared.
In February, the U.S. House Oversight Committee and the U.S. House Ways and Means Committee held hearings to address waste, fraud, and abuse with COVID relief programs. Representative James Comer from Kentucky is chairman of the House Oversight Committee.
We're going to see if there's a way that we can claw some of this money back that was stolen to fraudsters and cyber hackers, and we're going to see if we can hold people accountable for wrongdoing.
Republicans blame the Biden administration, while Democrats blame the Trump administration for not addressing fraud from the beginning. Democrats also stress how pandemic relief programs helped millions of Americans during a rough time period.
I know you guys have been feeling pressure from Republicans saying that you guys waited too long to do something or address it. What would your response be to that, Mr. Sperling?
Well, I think the president has a non-vulgar phrase called malarkey.
After months of asking for an on-camera interview, we spoke with Gene Sperling, White House coordinator of the American Rescue Plan. This month, the administration announced it's introducing a 3-part pandemic anti-fraud proposal.
One, we had $600 million for enforcement to go after the most serious criminals. Number two, $600 million for prevention to prevent identity theft going forward. And 3, funds to help victims of identity theft who wake up one day and realize someone's stolen their identity and their credit is ruined because of it.
As for Schneider, the strange letters eventually stopped coming to her house. But Schneider still worries her information and security may have been compromised. For her, strengthening our government's fraud detection against cyber criminals cannot wait.
There needs to be a way of tracking who applies for these benefits because clearly there's something wrong.
For Investigate TV, I'm Carice Jackman.
Cold front's been moving through the Mid-South since last night and early this morning, and it's brought widespread rain, and we're going to continue to see some areas of drizzle as we're heading throughout mid-morning or so, but overall trending drier as the day goes on. Here's a look at our first alert futurecast at 10 o'clock this morning. As mentioned, I can't rule out some drizzle, but most areas will remain dry, and then we'll see some peaks of sun, but we're still going to hold on to some cloud cover as we're heading throughout the afternoon. The bigger story following this front is going to be the breezy conditions and also the cooler temperatures too. We've got winds that are now being ushered out of the north and west. It's been breezy all morning long, around 25 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts, and these winds are going to hold steady throughout the day today, and because they're coming out of the northwest, ushering in some cold air. We do have a freeze warning that is in effect for your Saturday morning. That does include the entire Action News 5 viewing area. Take a look at these overnight lows. We'll have partly cloudy skies across the area, 32 degrees here in Memphis, but other areas across West Tennessee below freezing, 30 degrees in Ripley, Tennessee, as well as in Bolivar. We could even see some upper 20s, 29 in Brownsville, Alamo, 28 towards Jackson. We'll see those low 30s in North Mississippi at 31 in Batesville, Senatobia, 32 in Tunica, and then in eastern Arkansas, those low 30s continuing. We've got 32 in Forest City as well as Marion and 31 in Blytheville. And it's not just Saturday morning that's going to be cold. It's going to be Sunday morning and it's going to be Monday morning as well. So I am anticipating the National Weather Service to extend those freeze warnings for the next couple of mornings. Your weekend overall is going to feature quite a bit of sunshine. However, those north winds will remain in place, and it is going to remain on the cool side. Saturday in particular will be a breezy day with those winds out of the northwest 10 to 15. Many areas will stay in the 40s, right around 50 degrees for a high here in Memphis, and then Sunday even cooler. I think we're all going to be in the 40s as we're heading into our Sunday afternoon. This all ahead of the official start of spring. That'll be on Monday, March 20th. Spring officially begins at 4:24 in the afternoon, and it's not going to feel very spring-like at all, to be quite honest with you. Our average high for March 20th, Monday, is 66 degrees, but we only have a high of 50 degrees in the forecast for that day, and there will be several areas that still remain in the 40s for Monday. So a little bit of drizzle throughout this morning, then trending drier throughout the afternoon, and then cold for the next several mornings. But the good news is we do have a dry stretch of weather. However, temperatures will remain on the cooler side for those highs until Monday and Tuesday, but trending warmer by Wednesday and Thursday next week. 65 on Wednesday and 73 degrees on Thursday.
All right, I want to tell you about a shocking new report from the CDC. Confirms what many parents already suspected. Teen girls are in crisis. In fact, a 2021 survey of more than 17,000 high school students found that 30% of the girls had considered suicide, a rate that's double than that of boys and almost 60% higher than 10 years ago. So parents, what do you do? What steps can you take now to help your child? Joining us now to talk more about this is National Recovery Advocate David McGee, joining us here on the digital desk. David, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
You know, I'm glad to have you on here because I think this is something that needs to be talked about. And, you know, of course, the contributing factors. But before we dive into some of that, can you talk a little bit about your background? Are you coming to us from Oxford?
Yes, I'm in Oxford, Mississippi, and I work at the University of Mississippi inside the William McGee Institute for Student Wellbeing, which we're creating and launching here. That's named after my late son, William. And I actually get to work and help create this institute. And it's really, its aim is helping students find and keep the joy they want and deserve, because we're at a moment in time where mental health and substance misuse is taking that from so many in this region and across the country.
You know, and I think the pandemic, for one, I know when it comes to substance abuse, a lot of people were drinking more and just dealing with a lot emotionally. I do like to see that we're starting to make a little progress in having that conversation about taking care of your mental health just as much as your physical health and getting rid of that stigma behind things. But I know we want to talk about this crisis, the teen girls in crisis. What do you think is really kind of fueling this? Is it social media? What do you think? I mean, I'm sure it's a number of factors, but can you kind of break that down for us?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it's all of the above. And I've actually got a book coming out in August called Things Have Changed, What Every Parent and Educator Should Know About the Student Mental Health and Substance Misuse Crisis, because everything is involved. It's social media, it's the pandemic, it's the high expectations of parents of young people today. It's marijuana is 400% stronger. It's, you know, not everybody is involved in all of those, but what we see is a changing cultural environment where young people are feeling pressures that they can't quite put their finger on and they don't know how to deal with. So they'll use techniques like eating disorder or habits they'll fall into, eating disorder or substance misuse, which change how you feel. Eating disorders are often about control, but they also change how you feel for many people. Substance misuse is the same thing. So what we've got to do in this country is begin to look at the whole pie of what is happening here and how do we reach in and be able to meet young people where they are.
For sure. And you know, this is a good conversation to be having. Are there certain signs that parents need to look out for when it comes to starting that conversation, asking questions? What should parents do?
Yeah, well, for starters, parents ask me all the time, like, are there any signs I should look out for? Number one, look, if your teen has a hard time looking you in the eye ever, I don't mean sometimes. Teens are teens, and it can be difficult to have them make eye-to-eye contact. But if you go through a long period and they just are not engaging with you eye-to-eye, you need to expect something's going on. And it might be mild. I'm not saying it's so severe, but you need to start digging in deeper. The other thing, if their mood has changed and they're edgy with you consistently and they've got emotional outbursts beyond just the normal teen thing, that's a sign. But then how you break through to teens is not to get frustrated and mad at them. They're human. They're going through something. The best tactic is to take a deep breath and begin to not tell them how they should feel, cheerlead them on, but ask them open-ended questions. Begin to converse with them in open-ended questions to be able to help them gauge how they feel. Sometimes it'll help them find answers that they don't even know.
I think that's good, the advice on asking those open-ended questions and then not telling them how to feel.
Right.
What is the best? It's not an easy conversation to have. Is there any advice you would give on how you ease into that?
Well, you just put your finger on it. Is frankly, parents and even educators, honestly, mean well. But parents, for example, we parents cannot help but tell our children how they should feel. You should be so excited you've got that big cheerleading competition this weekend. You're going to be a great student in math. You should just go with your friends and have fun. You should make A's. You should start in soccer. You should. And it's a lot of pressure, to be honest. And they're feeling it, and many teens are caving under it. And so what we have to do as parents and realize, look, they're children, they're human, and they don't like the pressure. They don't like being told what to do. The studies are clear. We have to take a deep breath, see them, hear them, ask them how they feel, how they are, and try to begin the conversation that way.
I like that thought too, just saying don't tell them how to feel, because sometimes I think even just recognizing that you're doing it, I think a lot of parents sometimes don't even realize that they're doing that, and so just to even for you to say it kind of helps to let them notice that that's what they're doing. Are there certain, when you're having these conversations, are there certain things you want to be listening for?
Yeah, look, in today's buzzword among teens is anxiety. They don't feel comfortable saying, I'm struggling with substances, or I have an eating disorder, or what they'll often say, the safe word is to their parents or others, I'm battling anxiety. When you hear that, you need to not just take it at face value. Anxiety is very real. So it may be that, but most often we find that what they're battling is upstream and there's more things going on than that. That's their safe word. When they tell you that, you just need to understand they typically need counseling, and you want to get them into counseling and or substance treatment. But a lot of the students I find who battle eating disorder or substance misuse, they can't even tell you that they are. So parents will get frustrated that, look, I'm asking my child and I think they're honest with me, but they just say they're anxious. Well, yeah, because sometimes it's hard for us adults, much less young people, to fully face and recognize what we're facing when we're in the throes of it.
At what point does a parent say, maybe I need to seek some professional help to help my child?
Hey, I think the earlier the better at any warning signs. We know that counseling works. It does. I see incredible results from young people, particularly the earlier they get into counseling. Earlier, the better results. Doesn't mean always you get the perfect counselor the first try, but maybe it takes another move to another one. But then when you find that right fit, it starts to work. I think that parents need to understand, look, if a child shows warning signs and you begin to ask them open-ended questions and they begin to say, I'm struggling a little bit, I would err on the side of trying to help them think through those feelings to better understand them. And that reduces the odds that they will begin to use substances to change how they feel.
And I think sometimes it's good to be able to just talk to a neutral person. I think we all need therapy. I think it helps us to kind of talk through things. It helps us to understand why we respond certain ways, how to manage that. And so I think we all can use that. This has been a great conversation, David. Is there any other points or anything else you really want to leave our viewers with?
Well, I think you make a great point about everybody needing counseling and therapy, and it does work and it does change lives. And when people have a higher emotional intelligence, they have a lot, typically are happier, and it does work. One of our challenges is, I'll leave viewers with, we're really going to have to start thinking about how we get access to all students or, such mental health treatment, because the problem is we face in this country is that mental health issues, including substance issues, they don't know any boundaries. All races, all economic strata. But where we have an issue is that actually treatment is not equally accessible to all, and counseling is not equally accessible to all. That's some of the work we're trying to do at the University of Mississippi's William McGee Institute for Student Wellbeing, is help figure out how to break those boundaries through telehealth and other means.
And I'd love to talk to you more about that maybe another time here on the Digital Desk. If you want to connect back with me, I'd love to talk more about that. I think it's important. And like you said, accessibility is such a problem. People just being able to get access to those resources. So, David, I've enjoyed having you on today. Thank you for talking about this subject and bringing attention to it. And you have a good rest of the morning, all right?
Thank you, too. Thank you so much.
Amanda Hansen back here at the Action News 5 Digital Desk. And we've been talking about mental health here this morning. And so have you heard about the Living Well Network? It is a great service that is offered by Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. And joining us now to talk more about it is Allison White, the supervisor for the Living Well Network. Glad to have you back here on the Digital Desk. How you doing?
Great. Thanks, Amanda.
So for people that maybe aren't familiar with the Living Well Network, can you talk about the work y'all do?
Sure. So we are a free community service, and we offer assessment and referral to behavioral health services. So anyone in the community can call us, and we will assess their need, and we'll match them with the right provider. So Amanda, think of us as a concierge service almost. So we're going to help connect you to the right person. And we also offer free mental health education to anyone in the community, churches, schools, civic groups, professional organizations. So we do a lot here.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I know y'all stay busy. Can you tell us about this upcoming mental health breakfast that y'all have down the line?
Sure. So our 9th annual mental health breakfast is Tuesday, May the 2nd. It's over at the Hilton in East Memphis. And we are really excited to have our keynote speaker this year, Joe Pantalone. He is an Emmy Award-winning actor. You might remember him from The Sopranos, which was a long-running, great TV show. He's also been in The Matrix and some other TV and movie. His list goes on. And he is going to be talking about his battle with chronic depression. And we're also having a breakout session after our keynote speaker. And we have a local therapist who is going to be talking about all things men's mental health.
And, I do want to talk, with men, I think it's so important to be able to focus on their mental health. I think sometimes, a lot of times, men avoid that. They don't want to seem like they're having a hard time or they're struggling. Can we talk about some of the misconceptions when it comes to men and mental health?
So I think one of the biggest myths that especially men have about their own mental health is that, well, men don't get sad. We don't cry. Well, we know that that's not true. We know men suffer from depression and mental health issues just as much as women do. They are less likely to seek treatment. And I think the reason is because of these, social norms that, and these myths that we have, that men are supposed to be the strong ones, right? But if you look at statistics for suicide, for example, men make up 78% of all suicides in this country. So we know they're struggling, and we want them to be able to change that narrative and say it's okay not to be okay. We want them to seek out treatment when they need it.
And what are some signs maybe people could look out for to know if someone's struggling?
Right. So I think a lot of times with men, you might see more irritability for a certain period of time. You might see more decrease in their hobbies or activities they used to enjoy. And I think they're less like you're more likely to see that as opposed to maybe the sadness, maybe they're not getting up and not taking care of their hygiene routines, although you can see that. I think though, we're looking out for other things too. The change in patterns and the change in behavior and the irritability more so.
And how can people contact the Living Well Network if they're saying, hey, I think I could benefit from the resources that they offer? How can they get in touch with y'all?
So we have a website. It's www.thelivingwellnetwork.org. We have lots of information on there. We also are here Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and you can call us at 901-762-8558.
And again, that 9th annual mental health breakfast is coming up May 2nd. It's a big deal for you guys. I know the proceeds go to benefit the work that y'all do and to continue that work of offering that free mental health resources to people in the community. So Allison, I appreciate having you taking the time to join us today, and you have a good rest of the morning, all right?
Great. Thanks so much.
All right, well, the Memphis Office of Youth Services is putting on a Career and Technical Expo. It is coming up March 24th, and joining us now to talk more about it is Ike Griffith, Special Assistant to Mayor Jim Strickland and Director of the City Office of Youth Services and Community Affairs. Good morning. Glad to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about it. So this Career and Technical Expo, it's coming up towards the end of the month. What can people expect?
Well, our young people can expect over hundreds of vendors that's going to be giving them an opportunity to be hired for a regular job. What we're trying to do is get in front of the classes of 2023 and have something in place for these young people to look forward to once they walk across the stage and get their high school diploma. Many of our young people are not going to college, and we want to make sure that we provide an opportunity for them to be productive individuals in our society. So I do want to give a shout out to Channel 5, Mr. Jonathan Mitchell, for helping me to get the word out about this great event.
Oh, good stuff. Love Jonathan. I'm glad that he's helping to get the word out with that with you, and I'm glad you're on the digital desk today. You know, you were talking about all the vendors that are going to be there helping to give these opportunities to these young people. How important is it to be able to have a place where they can come? Everything's kind of a one-stop shop, and it's giving them opportunities. How important is that?
It is very important. As I mentioned earlier, many of our young people are not going to college, and to have vendors like TVA, who's one of my sponsors, cosmetology schools, electricians, plumbers, NASA, Ford Oval, Blue Oval, just I can go on and on and on, but it's so important to have a event of this caliber where people will be hiring on the spot. And we ask our young people to come looking the part along with your resume. That is so very important. That's the first step. Your first impression is a lasting one. So we really want to provide an opportunity for those youth so they can become productive individuals in our society. Not only high school students in Memphis, but we have invited high school students from Mississippi and Arkansas. Crime is just not around in our area. It's around us too. So we want to provide those same opportunities for those young people. So we are opening up our doors at 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock for our high school seniors. From 1 to 5, we will have our college students, opportunity youth, and adults. And our opportunity youth are those individuals that are school age, but not in school with no skills set. So we really want to make sure that we embrace all our young people in the city of Memphis and the surrounding area.
And those are some big name companies that you mentioned too. So these are good jobs, good opportunities, and they're out there for our young people. And so let's just talk about, I know you said there's going to be hundreds of vendors. What else can people expect, and what kind of other services are going to be out there for people?
Well, we have our Second Chance program that will be in effect. Also, we are providing opportunities for interviews for those companies that can embrace those children and the young adults and our college students. And we will have those vendors that will hire just with a high school education, and we will have vendors that will be hiring with college degrees. So it's so very important that we embrace all those vendors, and thanking them, number one, for coming on board with us, like TVA and CTE program of Shelby County Schools, really just making this a big event. So we really are very excited about this event at the Renaissance Center, as I mentioned, just different careers that our young people can go into, or just have a major concern about looking into a particular career. We will have TCAT there will be giving away a scholarship to go to their facility. So it's just a variety of, opportunities for our young people. Training program, interviews, interactive career displays, Second Chance program, hiring on the spot. We're just really excited about this, and we really want our young people to take advantage of this. We are losing too many of our young people. And as you may know or may not know, the youth in this city is a top priority of Mayor Jim Strickland. So he has allowed me to just venture out to do whatever I possibly can to help our young people become successful individuals in our society.
And this definitely is a big step. This is big and helpful for our youth. And I'm curious, have y'all put an expo like this on in the past? Is this y'all's first time to do this? And if so, how many people are you expecting to be out here?
Well, hopefully thousands. This is our first time putting this on. Matter of fact, I was not budgeted in my budget to put this on, but I've been having great support of letting people know what we are trying to do to embrace our young people. Home structure is not like it used to be, and we need to be more aggressive in helping our young people become productive individuals in society. Each and every day, we constantly meet. We meet. As we are meeting, our youth are out here committing crime and other negatives in our society. So we need to meet in motion. We need to put in programs that's going to be beneficial, and also we need to have effective consequences for our young people. We are, as adults, to be quite honest, we are losing this battle with our children. So having a program of this caliber is so very important. And we ask parents to make our children do. Some things parents need to make their children do. They shouldn't have no choice. And this is one of the events that we hope parents will support us on, and so we can support their children.
Absolutely. And so I know you were saying that this is a big, investing in our youth and really focusing on our youth is a big thing for you, Mayor Strickland. Is that kind of how this expo kind of came about? Is this just kind of one of those things?
Well, I tell you, it came about just looking at data with the number of young people that may not be going to college, may not be attending college. So we got to find some positive things for our young people to do. And careers and technology is so valuable. It's so valuable because although we may have AI in our society now, but I've yet to see a machine fix hair. I've yet to see a machine come to your house and fix your plumbing. So there's a lot of careers that young people can go into and be successful in that process. And, just making our children do and taking a part of something that's positive is very, very important. So we need to embrace our young people. We need to show them the right things to do, put them on the right track, number one, and hopefully they'll be successful. Hopefully it'll also deter crime, because we have so many of our young people that we are losing each and every day. So we're all excited about putting on this Career Expo. We have invited, as I mentioned earlier, the school system in Memphis and the surrounding areas, college students, adults. So just take advantage of this opportunity and let's have a great summer.
Well, and I think this is awesome too, because it helps these young people to even know what kind of opportunity, what they are capable of, what they could do, what is out there for them that they can, grab and hold on to. So this is great. Real quick, can you kind of run over all those details again one last time, and then where people can go to get some more information?
Okay. Well, first of all, you can call our office at 901-636-6264. And this is Mayor Jim Strickland, Memphis Office of Youth Services Career and Technical Expo that will be held March 24th at the Renaissance Convention Center. And we ask our young people to come looking the part, bring your resumes, because we will have hundreds of vendors, interviews, second chance opportunities, hiring on the spot. And we ask our young people that are in high school from 9 to 1 will be designated for you as high school seniors. From 1 to 5 will be our college students, opportunity youth, and adults. And opportunity youth are those individuals that are school age, but not in school. Business attire, and bring your resume. So we're looking forward to seeing you, and I hope each and every one of you that come get hired on the spot.
All right. Well, I've enjoyed having you on. Thank you for taking some time to get out this information to our viewers, and good luck with the expo. I'm sure it's going to be great.
Thank you so very much.
So check it out. It is the latest edition of La Prensa Latina. You see that cover story there, focusing on the St. Jude Dream Home giveaway. It's a good one, and we're going to be diving into this issue with Jairo, with La Prensa Latina. Jairo, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm good. It's St. Patty's Day. Where's your green? Do you have green on?
I know. St. Patty's Day on a Friday. It's good. It's a good day.
Right. I'm right there with you, and I'm glad the rain's out of here. It kind of woke me up last night, but yeah, it's a good day. It's Friday. It's the weekend. I'm excited about it, and of course, we're talking about the latest edition of La Prensa Latina. I see the cover story here as I was talking about. It's about the St. Jude Dream Home giveaway. I know we help promote this as well here at Action News 5. Let's talk about that feature y'all have.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with it, and everybody, and I think that, we continue to support St. Jude with the Dream Home giveaway. And I mean, within the Latino community, there's a large percentage of the Latino community that helps out. I think it's like up to 15% of the proceeds that get raised come from the Latino community. And we expect it to grow. We expect it to grow not just in the Latino community, but in the community in general. And this year, the house is going to be in Arlington, so not too far away from here. I need to take a visit and go check out the house. I know that it's still in progress, but the houses are always looking really good. I think it has a, let me see if I have it here, but like nice, everything is state of the art as far as the appliances. I think that the house is built by, let me go back up here. I think it's, Southern Serenity Homes, which they built some amazing houses. And not only that, but I think they're also going to be giving away some Honda Civics, Nissan Kicks. So they got other surprises out there. And we have the links in our website at laprensalatina.com. Also, we have in our newspaper, we're going to be doing things on social media so people know where to participate, how to participate, all the rules and everything.
And I know that kickoff is next Friday. Andrew's supposed to be helping to take part in that too. So I know he's going to be out there doing some live shots and whatnot. Another feature that I want to talk to you more about, just because I think it's super cool, is Mexican New Year.
Yeah, so it's it goes back to the heritage, right? The Mexicas, which is kind of like the native of the Aztecs, and the way they celebrate it is, and it's interesting because it's in spring, so it kind of makes sense to me, where it's they basically get rid of it's like they say bye to the old, and so in this ceremony they'll burn the last flag, which is the last year's flag, and I think it was last year's flag was the bunny. It's a rabbit, and then they put a number to it. So it's actually like 4 different elements. I think it's rocks, rabbit. This year is the bamboo, and so they basically do a ceremony where they get rid of all the old and welcome all the new, and the rituals that they do, the dancing and celebrating of the new year, which is a Bamboo 11. And this year was in Nash. I mean, this is all over Mexico and here in the United States too, because there's a lot of still native tribes, native people that stay close to their cultures, but we really deeply into the roots, like the Mexicas, and this one was in Nashville, and the ceremony was pretty interesting. They did the dancing. They also had a temazcal, which is where you go inside. They have a ritual where they heat up some rocks in the fire, and then they go inside. They put the rocks inside of the temazcal. Then they put, the water with herbs, and it steams. And while you're there, you kind of say some prayers and welcome the new year, and basically come out and symbolizes like a new you, because you're entering a new year. So very interesting to see. If you're if you want to learn more about it, you can always go into La Prensa, again, to their website or newspaper and read about it.
Yeah, I always think stuff like that is cool, especially to hear that it's gaining momentum here in the U.S., just because I think it's good for us to learn about different cultures and like these types of traditions like that. I think it's great. So I love seeing that. I thought that was a great piece. What about this workshop that's being offered by the city of Memphis?
So this public works workshop is very dear to the community, because as more and more there's an influx of more Latinos here, it's very important for us Latinos to know how the city operates, from every division of the public works, from code enforcement to knowing, even with MLGW, making sure that people know how to make, if there's concerns, or if there's things that are not good in your neighborhood, there's trash, there's, from a surplus of animals roaming around, how to go about it. And the Memphis Public Works is doing a very good job in teaching the Latino community, not only the community in general, but they're actually certifying, I think, some leaders in the Hispanic community to be the basically liaison, and so they can reach out to them. And I think this is an excellent idea that they're doing, and we look forward to it growing.
Yeah, I think that's great, because a lot of times I feel like if we have issues, sometimes we're like, okay, who do we go to? Like, what do we do? How do we resolve this?
Yeah,
especially make things better.
Especially people that, like they migrated. I mean, it's a totally different culture, totally different laws. And so, we at La Prensa, we have a section in our La Prensa where we have different public services and all the other. We want to make sure that we educate people, especially newcomers, on how about to go through things.
Oh, for sure. And of course, all of these can be found in the latest edition of La Prensa Latina. And I know, Jairo, y'all are constantly updating your website as well, so people can always go to laprensalatina.com and get these stories too, right?
Yeah, they can go to La Prensa Latina, get all the local coverages that we do, as well as our social media. I mean, up to the minute weather on our website in Spanish. We do the same thing in social media. You can pick up the publication in over 250 locations all over the Mid-South, predominantly Shelby County, and from the public library systems to where Hispanic frequent the most, or even other locations like the concourse or more.
Good stuff. Well, Jairo, we always like having you on here, and you have a great weekend, all right? See you next time.
No, yeah, appreciate it. Ready for the weekend, ready to celebrate St. Patty's Day, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Oh, for sure. We'll see you then.
All right.
All right, well, let's dive back into some of the news of the day. There's a dance tour that is showcasing Memphis Jukin to the world. It's wrapped up, and we got a chance to sit down with one of the dancers who is back in the Mid-South, hoping to inspire some of the local youth here in the Memphis area. It's a really cool piece. Check it out.
5, 6, 7, and boom, ka, boom, tick, tick, ha, ha, ba, ba. This is what I've been trying to do since I was a kid. This is what I wanted to do for my career.
Larae Curry is fresh off tour with the Memphis Jukin Tour powered by Nike. The production featured Memphis dance icon Little Buck alongside a cast of Memphis leading Jukin dancers.
Basically toured around literally, I say, the whole United States, from east to west coast, basically performing every night, showing the world how street dance is a fine art as well, just as ballet and contemporary and jazz is.
The tour wrapped up on March 10th in Long Beach, California, but Jukin never ends in Memphis. Curry teaches fundamental Memphis Jukin steps to his Memphis dance group, New Gen 901, a group of 8 students working on their skills as dancers.
Boom. It might be a slide on that.
New Gen 901 is in its 2nd year. The group meets 3 times a week, performing in music videos, events, and live performances. But the mission behind the dance group has a much larger purpose.
Meeting up, you got these kids who could be doing anything else negative, but now they're here doing something positive to where they can have a life for themselves.
Larae says dance gave him an outlet and exposure around the world. He hopes he can provide that same outlet to kids right here in the Mid-South.
I love that. And I love, like, instead of doing 8 counts, you can tell he would do the sound effects that took me back to my days growing up taking dance. And so I think it's great that he's getting to show people and kids here in Memphis about what they can do and talk about his experiences and whatnot. So I thought that was a really great piece, and it showcases Memphis has so much talent here in this area. And so awesome to see that he's given back to the community that he loves so much here in the Mid-South. Amanda Hansen back here at the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Are you hungry? Well, if you're not now, you're going to be, because we are joined by our very own Jennifer Chandler, Commercial Appeal food reporter. Love having her on each and every time. Jennifer, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm very excited about tomorrow.
Yes, well, St. Patty's Day,
Yes.
it's coming up.
Yes.
And I am Irish, so...
Not tomorrow, Friday. Is it Friday?
I was going to say,
Sorry.
wait, you're just too excited that you're trying to jump a day ahead here. But,
I am. I already have on my green. I'm just ready.
I see. I noticed that when you joined the Zoom, I was like, she's ready for it.
Yes. I mean, corned beef and cabbage, shepherd's pie, fish and chips is probably my favorite of Irish cuisine. And all of that will be at restaurants around Memphis, but in particular, we have 6 really amazing Irish pubs here in Memphis.
Yes. Let's go through some of them. I know you put together a list, and some of them are some of my spots that I used to frequent pretty often.
Yes. Well, the first one I'm going to mention because they have a parade, is Celtic Crossing, which is in the Cooper Young neighborhood. DJ Naylor is the owner, and he is Irish. And so it is always a fun place year round, especially if you want to watch a football game, or as we call it, a soccer game. But their festivities are all day long on St. Patrick's Day. The bar opens at 9 a.m. They kick off everything with a parade down all throughout the Cooper Young neighborhood at 10 a.m. They're going to have green beer, of course. All these places are going to have green beer for the day. But they're also going to have Irish dancers and bagpipers and bands throughout the day. So it is going to be a lot of fun in Cooper Young on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I saw the whole lineup of stuff that was going to be going down, and I was like, wow, it's like a full day of stuff. And like you said, I think they block off the road and everything, and it's just kind of like a big fest. So I might have to swing over there Friday when I get off work, since I'm right over here in Midtown.
Yes.
I might as well. So.
You might as well go and have something Irish, so you can have the luck of the Irish for the day. Definitely wear your green. I'm also going to mention Silky O'Sullivan's. Now, they have a parade as well, but their parade is always the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day. So their parade was this past Saturday, and I will say it was their 50th annual parade. So for 50 years, Silky O'Sullivan's has been celebrating St. Patrick's Day. They were originally over in Overton Square way back when, but they've been in Beale Street for so long. But they continue their festivities all week long, and especially it culminates on St. Patrick's Day. So they're all day long on St. Patrick's Day. They're going to be having giveaways. They're going to be having Hart beer is flowing, Guinness beer is flowing, Jameson Irish whiskey is flowing. So it is a lot of fun to go there. And also, you got to go see the goats. I mean,
right?
That has to bring some type of good luck.
Yeah, I used to joke with people that weren't from Memphis, and I'm like, yeah, go to Silky's. You can check out the goats. There's goats, and I'm like,
Yes.
there are goats. They never noticed them when they'd been there before on Beale Street. And Ron Childers was part of that parade last weekend. It looked like a lot of fun.
It did, even though it was kind of gray and cold and rainy. And I love seeing all the pictures. It made me, I kind of was like, oh, I should have gone, especially since it's its 50th. I mean, that's a really cool thing for Memphis.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, the Irish, they know how to have a good time.
For sure. Okay, speaking of Irish people, the Brass Door downtown, Seamus Loftus is from Ireland, and he has a really cool Irish pub in a historic building. They have great food. Again, it's just a really cool place to go and have a Guinness beer or an Irish whiskey. All day long on Friday, they will be serving a special Irish menu. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to be on there. They haven't revealed what's going to be on there, but I'm sure all of your favorites will be there as well as some new interesting things to try.
Sounds like a good place to go.
Yeah. Okay. Moving toward Midtown, Murphy's. Murphy's is kind of like the quintessential Memphis dive bar in Midtown. And they have a big blowout every year for St. Patrick's Day. And they have a blessing of the kegs that will happen in the afternoon. They're going to have bands and live entertainment throughout the day. One of the things that they're known for is their Irish nachos, which is corned beef served over waffle fries. And it is pretty tasty bar food if you've not tried it.
No, it sounds delicious.
So a lot of fun will be had at Murphy's. And then if we want to go a little south, Dan McGinnis, which is in South Haven, Dan McGinnis Irish Pub. This will be their 14th year, I think, for celebrating St. Patrick's Day down there. And, fish and chips is their #1 seller year-round, and especially on St. Patrick's Day. But again, they'll have bands throughout the day. With all of these, you just need to go check on their websites and their social medias. Pages, and then they can show you, you'll be able to see exactly who's playing when and where. And, you can actually make a whole day of it kind of bouncing around all these different places so you can hit the highlights. The last one on my list is TJ Mulligan's. They have multiple locations throughout town. And the one picture here is the one in Midtown. And they're going to have bands throughout the day. They're going to have green beer, obviously, Jameson whiskey, all those type of things. One of the things that they have on their menu is their Memphis style corned beef. So they make corned beef kind of like in a style of cooking that you do for pork. And so it's kind of an interesting twist on corned beef. But they'll have lots of opportunities. So there's something Irish going on almost in every part of town. We've got downtown, we've got Midtown, we've got South Haven, we've got Cordova. There's a place for everything. And as I said, look at the schedule, and you could, go to Celtic Crossing for the parade, and then head over to Murphy's for the blessing of the kegs, and then you head over to somewhere else for something else, so you can hit all the highlights in one day. Because that's one of the things that's nice is the biggie things are not all at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, and like you said, there's somewhere all over town that you can go. I mean, TJ Mulligan's, they have the Highway 64, the Cordova location, Dan McGinnis, you know, another one there in South Haven. And then, yeah, I miss the Dan McGinnis that was over here in East Memphis. I used to go there all the time. All the time.
I know. I like their food too, and it was a fun place. And I do wish that they had one in Memphis proper still, but if you get a hankering for it, you can drive down to DeSoto County. It's not that far.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I probably will be making a stop over around Celtic Crossing just because it's literally a stone throw away from where I'm at right now. So,
yes.
Yeah. How are you planning to celebrate? Are you going to try to make the rounds?
I am. I haven't decided where exactly we're going to go. My husband's birthday is always the next day, so we kind of turn it into a 2-day celebration. And plus, since we're Catholic, it's Lent, and so I'm going to go have fish and chips somewhere for sure. I just haven't decided where it's going to be yet.
Right. Well, and I still need to go check out Brass Door.
Oh, you've never been?
I've never been. I've walked by it so many times, and I'm like, this place looks pretty cool, and I've never stopped in. So maybe that's where I'll go to on Friday night or something like that. Like you said, plan the day.
It's got a really cool vibe. It's kind of dark in there. I mean, it's in a historic building. I wish I knew the history of it, but it's in a historic building, and they really kind of kept some of that history. And it's got like dark wood, and I mean, you really do kind of feel like you're stepping into a true Irish pub in Ireland when you go in there, for sure. It's like you're stepping into a different time.
Yeah. And so I'll maybe have to check that out on Friday. Jennifer, you always bring it, and you always set everybody up to be able to know the spots to be on days like St. Patty's Day and beyond. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and I will tell you this whole list, and if you want to read a little more details and, you know, hours of when some of these things are happening, is now on commercialappeal.com/food. That's where you can go and check that out and kind of make your plan for St. Patrick's Day so you can have great food, a lot of fun, and get all the luck of the Irish that you can have.
Absolutely. Hey, Jennifer, I love having you on, and I look forward to checking back in with you next time.
Great. See you soon.
See ya. So have you been able to check out the latest edition of Memphis Magazine? Turn through the pages. There's so many great articles in this month's edition, and we're going to be talking about one of them this morning. Joining us here at the Action News 5 digital desk is Abigail Morisi. She is the arts editor for Memphis Magazine. Abigail, good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm glad to have you on here. We always enjoy these interviews with Memphis Magazine, Memphis Flyer. Y'all always have a good pulse on what's happening here in the community, especially the arts community. I'm looking forward to diving in and talking more to you about this piece about Jean Siegel. I understand it's about how she went from commercial literature to now her first exhibition over at the Dixon, her first solo expedition. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so Jean Siegel, do y'all hear an echo?
Hearing it. I'm not hearing an echo.
So Jean Siegel, she started out doing, like you said, commercial illustration. She even illustrated for the magazine, for the Flyer, and now she has her own exhibit in the Dixon Museum, and she's so excited because it's like her first time being in a museum setting, and this is what she's wanted to do throughout her whole career, throughout her whole life. It's like be able to have her art like in public facing settings and be able to show that side of her rather than being dictated what to do for like illustrations for a magazine or for the Flyer. And the choices she's made, they've been like beautiful. They're like landscapes across the river, and she just takes these beautiful sketches and she details them, these trees, and she does watercolors, which are a little bit less detailed, but they're still like gorgeous to look at, obviously. Yeah.
I think it's great. I love to see the different types of materials that she uses, from watercolor to the black and white, and it really kind of brings the art alive. And so when you were talking to her, what were some of the things that she said? What was it that, I mean, just about how exciting this was to be able to have this exhibit now?
Yeah, I mean, she was just glowing. Like her smile on her face was so big when she was talking about the black and white drawings in particular, because that's what she's really excited about. And she's like, this is what's been most successful for me. I think that means like both financially and, personally, because the trees have a lot of like meaning for her. That's where she would meet up with her boyfriend across the river of the trees, and she grew up in like forested area. And so like being able to bring back her childhood, but also like her current husband and their love. And yeah, she's just, I think, beaming. She's beaming. It was lovely speaking with her.
And it's such a tough journey. I mean, for someone that takes on a career as an artist. And so to see kind of where she started, where she is now, and for her to be showcasing at the Dixon, it just has to be kind of full circle for her. Is that kind of what it seemed like for you? I mean, from just talking with her?
She would talk about like, her days as like a poor artist. Making illustrations for the magazine, The Flyer, didn't pay much. And she had also talked about, the misogyny back in the day and how like the men would get paid more or have bigger opportunities with our own magazine. But now she's able to overcome that, I guess. And like you said, be in a museum. And that's exciting to have like her due, because she definitely deserves that. And yeah.
And from what I understand, it looks like the exhibit is very inspired by the area she's grown up around and called home. Is that right?
It's inspired by across the river in Dacus Lake. That's where like her boyfriend, or now husband, her boyfriend at the time, lived. And I think that's where she like fell in love with nature, because she had grown up in Arkansas, like over by a really forested area. And so being brought back to nature, which is something that she loves to hike and she loves to just be outside. And so being back there with someone that she like is deeply in love with was just something that I think re-inspired her. That's how she explained it to me.
For sure. It was personal. I grew up taking art, so I love to see kind of the different materials and just the color and hearing her story. And like you said, being a woman, kind of trying to make her mark. It's interesting to hear these kind of stories. And, Abigail, I know we've had you here on the digital desk before, and I love going through these stories, by the way. I think they're great. And of course, people can read more about it in this month's edition of Memphis Magazine. They need to go subscribe. Tell us a little bit about you. I know you oversee the arts column. Are you from Memphis? And how did you end up kind of covering this as your beat?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm from New Orleans, but I went to Rhodes, and that's how I came to know Memphis.
Yeah.
But I've always loved the arts. Like when I was little, I was always drawing and painting, and at one point, I wanted to become an artist. But I think over time, I just grew more interested in writing. And how I started writing for the arts, I think they had an empty spot, and I was like, I'll take it. I'll write something. The first thing I wrote about was a professor at U of M who did these really zoomed in pictures of particles or metals. And from there, I just kind of was like, this is what I want to do, because, it's combining what I used to love to do and what I now love to do. And I get to be creative and fun. And yeah, it's been really exciting to meet all these artists, and they're so cool. Everyone I meet and talk to, they're so interesting.
I bet. I can only imagine. For me, so I'm kind of like you. I was really into art growing up. I loved, I took all the classes in high school. I took some in college. I went to U of M. And for me, this is now my way of being creative, and my form of self-expression is, I film video. I do a lot of video editing and things. So it's interesting to see someone kind of on the same end of things. And now you're telling a lot of these artists' stories. And I'm sure that that's really cool to be able to dig down and share kind of what they've been through and whatnot. Anything that stood out from this piece, or something that maybe didn't make the cut, that you want to share with people watching this morning?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, like I said, she was just she's such a lovely woman to talk to, Jean, and like, I mean, talking with her, and she's so humble about it. Even like her watercolors, she's like, well, this is more of like a hobby of mine. I just kind of threw them in the show to add color. And you're like, these are very beautiful. Like, why would you, demote that? Yeah, but it's a lovely show, and I definitely recommend seeing it. And she'll be speaking at the Dixon right before it closes at some point in time. So
nice. And how long is her exhibit going to be on display?
Until April 9th.
Okay, great. So people have time. They can go out there and check out her artwork. Well, that's awesome. Well, Abigail Morisi, we appreciate having you here on the Digital Desk. I hope to have you back on real soon. And you have a great rest of your morning, all right?
Thank you. You too.
Cold front's been moving through the Mid-South since last night and early this morning, and it's brought widespread rain, and we're going to continue to see some areas of drizzle as we're heading throughout mid-morning or so, but overall trending drier as the day goes on. Here's a look at our first alert futurecast at 10 o'clock this morning. As mentioned, I can't rule out some drizzle, but most areas will remain dry, and then we'll see some peaks of sun, but we're still going to hold on to some cloud cover as we're heading throughout the afternoon. The bigger story following this front is going to be the breezy conditions and also the cooler temperatures too. We've got winds that are now being ushered out of the north and west. It's been breezy all morning long, around 25 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts, and these winds are going to hold steady throughout the day today, and because they're coming out of the northwest, ushering in some cold air. We do have a freeze warning that is in effect for your Saturday morning. That does include the entire Action News 5 viewing area. Take a look at these overnight lows. We'll have partly cloudy skies across the area, 32 degrees here in Memphis, but other areas across West Tennessee below freezing, 30 degrees in Ripley, Tennessee, as well as in Bolivar. We could even see some upper 20s, 29 in Brownsville, Alamo, 28 towards Jackson. We'll see those low 30s in North Mississippi at 31 in Batesville, Senatobia, 32 in Tunica, and then in eastern Arkansas, those low 30s continuing. We've got 32 in Forest City as well as Marion and 31 in Blytheville. And it's not just Saturday morning that's going to be cold. It's going to be Sunday morning, and it's going to be Monday morning as well. So I am anticipating the National Weather Service to extend those freeze warnings for the next couple of mornings. Your weekend overall is going to feature quite a bit of sunshine. However, those north winds will remain in place, and it is going to remain on the cool side. Saturday in particular will be a breezy day with those winds out of the northwest 10 to 15. Many areas will stay in the 40s, right around 50 degrees for a high here in Memphis, and then Sunday even cooler. I think we're all going to be in the 40s as we're heading into our Sunday afternoon. This all ahead of the official start of spring. That'll be on Monday, March 20th. Spring officially begins at 4:24 in the afternoon, and it's not going to feel very spring-like at all, to be quite honest with you. Our average high for March 20th, Monday, is 66 degrees, but we only have a high of 50 degrees in the forecast for that day, and there will be several areas that still remain in the 40s for Monday. So a little bit of drizzle throughout this morning, then trending drier throughout the afternoon, and then cold for the next several mornings. But the good news is we do have a dry stretch of weather. However, temperatures will remain on the cooler side for those highs until Monday and Tuesday, but trending warmer by Wednesday and Thursday next week. 65 on Wednesday and 73 degrees on Thursday.
Amanda Hanson back here at the Action News 5 Digital Desk, and it's Women's History Month. I felt like it was a great reason to bring up a topic that I think is impacting so many women. Gender pay and opportunity gaps, they continue to be issues for women in the workforce. And joining me now to help talk more about what needs to be done, what can change this, is of course Kayla. She is joining us, Kayla Leibowitz, and she is the CEO and founder of Bundle Benefits. Good morning, how you doing?
Good morning, it's Friday. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to have you on here. I want to dive into this topic a little bit more, but before we do that, can you tell me a little bit more about your company, Bundle Benefits, and what y'all are all about?
Yeah, sure. So Bundle, we are a online employee development and well-being solution that employers put into place in their organizations to help support employees, help retain them, help develop them professionally, and make sure they're well at work. So we provide thousands of one-on-one sessions and classes that employees can take advantage of to really hone in on their skills, development, and well-being.
You know, when we were talking about the gender pay gaps and the issues that we're still dealing with today, I mean, they're progressively, they're getting better, but they're still not quite where they need to be yet. And it's causing women to leave the workforce. What are some things that people can be doing? I mean, technology is advancing. How can maybe technology help people to be able to help people when it comes to equity in the workplace?
I mean, people definitely carry biases that impact judgments on decisions, mindsets, and behaviors in the workplace. And I think technology can really help negate those biases. So take AI, for example. AI can help with recruiting and hiring and remove biases. It can analyze salary data and find discrepancies. It can support career development by analyzing skills gaps. I mean, there's so much opportunity. I know AI is in the news a lot right now. Technology isn't perfect and it may still express biases, but that's where AI can keep getting better and retrained as an example. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for technology to create more equity. I think just workplaces have to be open to bringing those technologies in and just admitting that unfortunately people carry, inherent biases, and you need technology to help combat those and help make better decisions that will allow more diverse people at your company to succeed, and just make it more equitable environment for all your employees.
You know, we actually read a story recently, and it was just talking about this exact topic, and even how it's even worse for women that are minorities. And so a lot of times this starts at the top when it comes to addressing this issue. So what are some things that, employers, manager, business leaders can do to be able to help address this and make things better?
I think, I agree. It definitely starts at the top. I think awareness and understanding is the first step, and it's critical. The next step is really to drive changes in the processes and procedures in your own workplace, whether that means putting training and learning in place to develop skills and positive approaches to workplace practices. There's just so much opportunity within a company to really make sure that workplace equity is infused in your learning, training, and development, in your onboarding, right when a person joins your company. And it has to be continuous throughout. But if leadership and managers aren't taking it as a priority in how they approach work every day, it's not going to spread to the rest of the organization. One of the big shipping companies I was reading about, they're obviously a very male-dominated industry. They developed this video game to help hiring managers develop skills and approaches to recruit new talent while avoiding cognitive bias. And I think that was a great way to implement technology with a part of the workplace that can have a lot of bias in recruiting and training. So I think, again, it's just infusing it throughout the organization, throughout all different teams and departments, and making sure that leadership is also taking it seriously and really showing through action that they are a part of, they want to be a part of the solution to improve workplace equity.
That was really creative, that thing, the one you talked about with the shipping company. I thought that was pretty cool. And a lot of times I think it's really employers taking a hard look and really evaluating kind of the situation.
Exactly.
And just realizing that issue is still there. So we talked about your company. Let's really talk about what they're doing to help women.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we're a women-led company. Our three members of our leadership team are all women, and we're probably the majority of us are women. That again, we want to support all women in all phases of their careers and lives, whether they have families or not, whether they're junior or senior. So whether it's acknowledging that some employees may need a couple hours in the day to pick up their kids so that they can be more present at work, but also feel good about what's going on at home, or maybe they need some extra learning and development that is not part of our normal process. I think it's making sure you're looking at every individual employee and providing them the resources they need, because every employee is different, right? Everyone has different needs. Everyone has different career prospects that they want to pursue. So I think it's really sitting down. Every manager sits down with their employee and says, like, what do you need? What are you working towards? How do you want to advance in your career? What are obstacles that are preventing that? And how can we work with you? So again, it's whether it's you need an hour in the day to pick up your kids, or you need an hour hour a day to do something wellness related so that you can be more focused at work, or you feel like you need more training to advance. Whatever it is, we want to make a really personalized and tailored plan with which each individual. And, you know, it's not just women, it's everyone at our company deserves that. And I think, again, it's really taking that personalized, tailored look that can really help support women and all employees in the workplace.
You know, we use the term opportunity gap. Can we just kind of talk more about what that is, why businesses and employers should care about it?
Yes, the opportunity gap, how we look at it, is a way that it's basically when uncontrollable factors like, you know, like your race, your language, your gender, maybe your economic or family situation, it can contribute to lower rates of success within educational and career prospects and achievements. I think that it's really important for businesses to care about this because opportunity gaps within their organization can have a really big impact on retention, employee satisfaction, and just overall company performance. So companies really need to take, like you said, a hard look and identify and eliminate barriers within their organization to create a more inclusive culture and really advance all employees. I mean, there could be so many opportunity gaps that you're not even aware of, like inadequate access to learning and training, limited capability to network and develop work relationships, because maybe you have to work in a certain environment or you can't stay late to talk to employees, bias in hiring and promotions, lack of diversity in management and senior leadership. I mean, there's so many opportunity gaps that can be found at companies, but they have to take a deep, hard look. They have to listen. They have to really put the time in to examine what are the opportunity gaps that exist at our company and how can we provide solutions that really will, you know, drill down on those and make sure that we are looking at them honestly and thinking about how we can really eliminate those barriers and just create like a better work environment and culture for every type of employee.
Of course, eliminating those barriers. What are some things that, how can people really identify the problems at the workplace? And then from that, after you identify them, being able to implement solutions to change what's going on.
I think first it's awareness. You have to get aware. You have to look at every aspect of your organization from the top to the bottom across departments and then listening to people. This might be like an internal survey if you're a larger organization, or maybe it's talking to your ERGs or DEI rep to gain insights. Sometimes if things are that bad, people don't want to fill out a company survey or talk to anyone because there's fears of retribution. So I think that's an opportunity for companies to potentially bring in an outside expert to assess the situation, provide a non-biased climate check on the company, and then help build out a plan to fill those needs and challenges. But I think you need advocates within your organization that are driving this through and influencing it. You need those people throughout the organization from the top to the bottom that want to be a part of that change and hold people accountable. And then I think once you identify what the gaps are and then solutions, it could be anything from having listening groups to mentorship to sponsoring individuals from underrepresented groups and helping them develop skills and gain exposure and advance in their careers. But I think, again, it takes, you have to start with listening to people and having awareness, understanding, looking throughout the organization, and then the solutions can, again, be small to big, but I think they have to be throughout the company.
You know, we've done stories here at the Digital Desk where we've talked a lot about things like imposter syndrome, and it's something that impacts so many women and they deal with. What advice do you know, it's Women's History Month, what advice would you have for women when it comes to making sure that they are getting what they're worth in their job? You know, a lot of times I think sometimes women have a hard time just asking for what they want and are feeling like imposters in their own lives. What advice would you give women out there?
My advice is that you have to push for yourself and you have to be like your biggest advocate. It can be really scary to ask for things. You might feel like you don't deserve them, or it's just like your manager's intimidating no matter what gender they are. But you really have to be your own advocate. And I always say to like my direct reports, what's the worst that can happen? You ask for a promotion, they say no. What's the worst that can happen? You say, how long do you think it'll take me to get that promotion? Then what's the worst that can happen? They're just going to tell you it might take a year, but at least you've asked and you know what it takes to get there. If you don't ask for things, you'll never know. So I really think you have to be your biggest advocate and you have to learn to speak up. If you're not confident and you feel like you need that confidence, ask your manager for development training. Ask them to get, you know, help with getting feedback or communication skills. But you need to ask. If you don't ask, no one will know. And maybe your manager's not asking you enough. So push them and push them to ask you, to ask them what they can do to help you. So I really think it's making sure you have an open line of communication and speaking up. It can be really hard, but if you don't do it, you're just going to be left behind. So I really think it's all about speaking up and being your biggest advocate.
Kayla, this has been a great conversation, and I think it's helpful to empower women too, to know what their worth is. And like you said, it never hurts to ask, right?
Never hurts to ask.
Is there any place that people can go to maybe learn more about some of the things we've talked about, or some resources even?
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, on our website, which is bundlebenefits.com, we have tons of resources, like blogs that we like, podcasts. We promote other businesses we think are doing a really good job. We read a ton of things within McKinsey and Gartner, just to look at trends. They all have resources and suggestions of how you can be an advocate for yourself and your own company. So I think it's really reading trends and news articles like that, and then looking for companies that are really making waves in the space and looking at their peers as well. So I would say, I do a lot of reading, and because I get lots of ideas from it, but also even just looking at websites and companies that you really care about. If you look within their blogs and their medias and their content, if you believe in their values, they're probably pushing those values elsewhere. So I would just look at companies you admire, look at women you admire in leadership roles, and see what they're saying about it.
Well, Caleb, I appreciate your time, and this has been really good. And you have a good rest of the morning and a great weekend. All right.
Yes, you too. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
I'm doing something that I love to do.
So am I, pure and simple.
You don't do this for 26 years if you don't like it.
This month's Mid-South Heroes are a pair of crossing guards with the Germantown Police Department who put on the uniform and a smile each and every day. Peggy Grammer has been a crossing guard for more than a decade, while her co-worker, Faye Lester, has been at it for over 25 years. These two are at their posts every morning and afternoon, dealing with traffic, parents, and weather.
The worst part for me is lightning. I don't mind the rain. I don't mind the cold. I don't like the hot, but I do not like lightning. Do not.
And I'm basically the same. The lightning really is the hardest part of standing out here.
I can deal with the cars. Just keep the lightning away.
I've actually been hit, not hard, by a car, but really, it's just all in a day's work.
Faye and Peggy can be seen weekdays at area schools like Houston Middle, directing parent traffic, bus traffic, and their favorite part of the job, helping students cross busy streets.
That's the draw. You just love the kids.
Faye's the best.
You don't do this job for the money or anything. You do this job for your love of the kids. And there's nothing like these babies. I mean, they're like our grandkids. They're ours, and I even have kids come back with their kids. So yeah, it's an awesome job, and that makes me feel happy that I make someone else happy.
You see them every day. You know if they're having a bad day or whatever, you're going to know it because you're one of the first people that see them.
These two heroes have a simple but important request.
These kids' lives are important, and trying to get people to stop and let us get these kids safely across the street, some days it's all we can do. And if people would just take a moment to realize that these kids' lives are in really big danger, it would be nice. Just slow down just a little bit. You might get to where you're going 2 or 3 minutes later, but you're going to get there, and our kids are going to be safe.
It's scary sometimes how close they come. Just have patience with us because we're doing the best we can, and sometimes it isn't a difficult situation. And kindness always wins out.
Congratulations, Faye and Peggy. You are this month's Mid-South Heroes.
Great story there. I always love to see those Mid-South Hero stories and hearing about what people are doing right here in the community to make such a difference for people. And I have another great story that I'm looking forward to talking to this pair. So two friends decided to go in and have bariatric surgery on the same day, and they are joining us here at the Digital Desk this morning to share more about their story. This is Randy, who you see on the screen now, Randy Lowe, and she's alongside Dusty Barrick. He is in the corner, you can see there in queue, ready to talk to us. Good morning, both of you. How you doing?
Good morning. Great. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Doing great here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have y'all with us, and I can't wait to hear more about your story. Y'all both look incredible, by the way. Let's begin just by talking about your journey. What led you to kind of decide you want to go in on this together, and what led you to decide that this was going to be what was going to work best for you? And Randy, since we have you here on the screen first, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit more.
You know, I was really fortunate. I have been working with Dusty for a while, and he had actually gone in and spoken with the doctors first and said, why don't you consider this too? He knew how I had struggled off and on with my weight, and I had never really looked at bariatric surgery as an option. So I followed his lead, and I went in and spoke to my doctor, and then they sent us over to St. Francis to meet with the team there and find out more. And I'm so happy that he had just enough of a friendship with me to introduce me to it, and because it can be a very sensitive subject.
No, for sure, and it's such a difficult procedure to consider as well, and it was great to be able to have someone alongside you along the way. Dusty, let's kind of get you in here, because you kind of started this process and had got a lot of information to kind of start to share things with Randy. Tell me about where this all started with you.
Well, I mean, growing up, my family was all we've all battled weight loss. Like, one of my sisters has had the band, one had bypass, and then I had the sleeve. So it was just something that I knew that my family had to struggle with. So I got to a point in my life where I wanted to live a little bit healthier and be able to do the things I wasn't able to do as much anymore. So I did the research and then started talking to Randy about it. She was my work wife, so we did everything else together. Why not go in and get healthy together as well, too?
What kind of difference do you think it made for you to kind of have a sidekick to go in on this, and just even having that extra support along the way as you kind of navigated the next steps?
Well, just like with anything, especially like with weight loss or anything you're trying to commit to in your life, having an accountability partner is something that is really crucial to that. And also having a support system and being able to do it with somebody that's a best friend to make sure that, one, you keep each other honest, and two, when it's hard, you have somebody you can be honest and vulnerable with. And then, you just always have somebody call you out on your mess when you're not doing what you're supposed to as well, too.
Yeah, because they always say it helps to have that support system. So for y'all to be such good friends, your coworkers, you're spending a lot of your time together at work and all that. I know it went a long way. And Randy, I kind of want to bring you in here too, because a lot of people that maybe are considering this, they want to kind of know what the process is like. What was it like for you, kind of leading up to getting the procedure, and then just the next steps after that?
Sure. So, every insurance company is different. So the journey can look different for everybody. So I would definitely say reach out first and see what your insurance requires for the process. We had a 6-month wait where we had to see the doctor each month and show that we were taking the appropriate actions and lifestyle changes to make sure that the procedure was going to be successful afterwards, because it is a tool. It's not a magic cure-all. You are going to have to do some work, and you do sit down and meet with a psychologist to make sure that you're in the right headspace for that procedure as well, and that it's going to be successful. So Dusty started before me, but we were fortunate that after that 6-month waiting period and through scheduling, we were able to go through the diet pretty much together beforehand. And then we actually ended up having surgery on the same day. So it was great. We got to prepare together, go in together, And he was the first person that, saw me in the hospital room afterwards when I wasn't quite ready to walk around, but he said, we got to get moving. So he helped me and we moved around that part of the hospital like we were supposed to, and left together the same day. And like I said, it was a great journey. And if anybody can do it with a friend, I recommend that you do.
And I know both of y'all have lost over 90 pounds, and I have some pictures. I might try to pull some of those up as well, just so people can kind of see here. I know, Randy, these were some of your before and after photos, and then we have Dusty. And, you were talking about a lot of this going into it. The diet going into it, you had to meet with a psychologist, and a lot of times people don't realize there's so much emotions connected with food and eating, and going into this had to have been this is a lifestyle change. Was it kind of enlightening for you going through this process too, and kind of going through the lead-in before the actual procedure?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it forces you to take a look at your life and how you eat and why you eat and how much time you devote to yourself and trying to live a healthy lifestyle, whether that's going to the gym or just prepping your meals to make sure that, you are going to set the day up for success. So it does change your mindset a little bit. And then you do have to be conscious of, am I eating enough? Am I eating the right things? Am I drinking enough water? And it forces you to take control.
So Dusty, I want to bring you back in here now, because the big thing after you have something like this, it's life-changing. And I want to hear about how life has changed for you and how things are for you right now.
Well, it's easier buying clothes, that's for sure, that look good. So that's always a good plus. But again, like I said earlier, like your energy's increased, your overall mobility increases a lot. It gives you the options to do a lot of things you may have felt restricted before. My energy level has come back to where it used to be whenever I was an athlete. So like it just gave me the tools, like Randy was saying. It's not like a fix all. It just gives you those tools to get your life back in order, to be able to take control of your life and just be able to live healthy.
And y'all both look incredible now. Y'all put in the work, and you can see that. I guess let's talk about, for people that are watching today, where they maybe have been thinking a long time that maybe this is an option that they want to start considering. What would you tell someone?
I would tell somebody that, one, make sure it's something that you're ready to do, because it's a tool. It's not going to change your life without doing any of the work. But there's a lot of support groups for people going into bariatric surgery, and one of the biggest things in there is their biggest regret is not doing it earlier. I was like, when I was reading that, I was like, this is so corny. But then truthfully, when you look back on it, your biggest regret is not doing it earlier and taking control of that life. So talk to your doctor, find out the right one that's going to be the best for you, because it's not a one size fits all, and go for it.
So Randy, what are some of the big advantages, to having this surgery? What would you say to people?
Well, I can tell you I sleep better than I have in a very long time. I think that also plays a large role into how much energy I have throughout the day. Like Dusty said, there's a lot of non-scale victories that we call them, like being able to walk into a regular department store and pick something up off the shelf and try it on. Flying and not worrying about needing a seatbelt extender, or just there's small things that maybe you don't think about on a daily basis, but as you start to change and be aware of your new body, those are things that get celebrated. It seems small, but it's really not. So don't be shy. If you are considering it all, I can't say it enough. Go talk to your doctor.
So how long ago was it that you did the surgery? And then I know that it's over 90 pounds. Tell us more about that.
So we had the surgery September 22nd of 2020. And I have officially lost 100 pounds. That just happened here last month. So it's been a gradual process and still maintained the weight loss, which is really great. I don't know about Dusty, but I can say, you start to lose the weight fairly soon after surgery, and then you hit plateaus, and it's going to take a moment. So, don't get discouraged. We all reach those plateaus. Keep going and work with your tools, and you'll get to where you want to be.
Dusty, how about you?
Yeah, so I've lost around like 90 pounds before. I had lost a little bit more, but just like with anything else, like I said, it's not a magic fix-all. Like holidays happened and everything like that, so you gain a little bit of weight just like everybody else will. But again, it's a tool to help you keep your body in check and to keep on track. I'm back down again, but yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and you hear a lot of times, just one bad day won't ruin everything. It's just getting back on track after that and continuing the journey. And so I'm so happy to hear about just how this has turned out for both of you. Where do people go if maybe they are considering wanting to consider this option? Do you have a website we can share?
I would definitely look at St. Francis Medical Center with their bariatric weight loss center. Dr. Wegner was amazing. He did a great job for us. His whole team was fantastic. We stay in touch and go back to the nutritionists every year. They're always available if you have questions. So definitely make that phone call or jump online and fill out the forms that you need to get the process started.
And that's MemphisWeightLossSurgery.com. So people can go check out that website. We'll have it in the link on this web story that we're going to post a little bit later on this afternoon. But I'm just so happy to hear about the success of this journey for both of you. And I appreciate y'all kind of joining us here on the Digital Desk to just talk about what the experience was like for you all.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. All right, let's take a live look right now. This is our high-five camera here in Midtown Memphis. The sun peeking through the clouds there. Really a nice day all in all. It is cold. It's going to be cold tomorrow, so just be prepared for that as we head into the weekend, because that's something we're going to be dealing with. I do want to get a quick check of your forecast from meteorologist Erin Thomas. She can let you know what you need to prepare.
Cold front's been moving through the Mid-South since last night and early this morning, and it's brought widespread rain, and we're going to continue to see some areas of drizzle as we're heading throughout mid-morning or so, but overall trending drier as the day goes on. Here's a look at our first alert futurecast at 10 o'clock this morning. As mentioned, I can't rule out some drizzle, but most areas will remain dry, and then we'll see some peaks of sun, but we're still going to hold on to some cloud cover as we're heading throughout the afternoon. The bigger story following this front is going to be the breezy conditions and also the cooler temperatures too. We've got winds that are now being ushered out of the north and west. It's been breezy all morning long, around 25 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts. And these winds are going to hold steady throughout the day today. And because they're coming out of the northwest, ushering in some cold air. We do have a freeze warning that is in effect for your Saturday morning. That does include the entire Action News 5 viewing area. Take a look at these overnight lows. We'll have partly cloudy skies across the area, 32 degrees here in Memphis, but other areas across West Tennessee below freezing, 30 degrees in Ripley, Tennessee, as well as in Bolivar. We could even see some upper 20s, 29 in Brownsville, Alamo, 28 towards Jackson. We'll see those low 30s in North Mississippi at 31 in Batesville, Senatobia, 32 in Tunica, and then eastern Arkansas, those low 30s continuing. We've got 32 in Forest City as well as Marion and 31 in Blytheville. And it's not just Saturday morning that's going to be cold. It's going to be Sunday morning, and it's going to be Monday morning as well. So I am anticipating the National Weather Service to extend those freeze warnings for the next couple of mornings. Your weekend overall is going to feature quite a bit of sunshine. However, those north winds will remain in place, and it is going to remain on the cool side. Saturday in particular will be a breezy day with those winds out of the northwest 10 to 15. Many areas will stay in the 40s, right around 50 degrees for a high here in Memphis, and then Sunday even cooler. I think we're all going to be in the 40s as we're heading into our Sunday afternoon. This all ahead of the official start of spring. That'll be on Monday, March 20th. Spring officially begins at 4:24 in the afternoon, and it's not going going to feel very spring-like at all, to be quite honest with you. Our average high for March 20th, Monday, is 66 degrees, but we only have a high of 50 degrees in the forecast for that day, and there will be several areas that still remain in the 40s for Monday. So a little bit of drizzle throughout this morning, then trending drier throughout the afternoon, and then cold for the next several mornings. But the good news is we do have a dry stretch of weather. However, temperatures will remain on the cooler side for those highs until Monday and Tuesday, but trending warmer by Wednesday and Thursday next week. 65 on Wednesday and 73 degrees on Thursday.
Well, the Tigers play the first round of the NCAA tournament tonight. The game tipping off at 8:20 as they take on Florida Atlantic, and we were able to talk with head coach Penny Hardaway ahead of the game. We have that full press conference for you right now.
Penny, we know that FAU likes to shoot a lot of threes. There are times this year where you guys have struggled defending the perimeter. Do you have kinks up your sleeve to counter that tomorrow night?
I don't know if it's tricks up our sleeve, but we do know we have to pay attention to those guys. They're really good at what they do. Really impressed at what Coach May does and how those guys are connected offensively and defensively. It's a beautiful thing to watch. You know, I'm sitting there 2 and 3 in the morning just watching film, just trying to figure these guys out. So you're right, you have to guard the three-point line for sure.
Over here.
Penny, Cameron Teague from The Athletic. When you look at this team that you assembled from in the offseason to now, a lot of transfers, but that was purposeful for you. Just what has that journey been like to see them come together when you look back on it?
You know, it's really amazing. You know, when Kendrick first went in the portal, I was talking to him every day. We actually tried to get guys that were in the portal. Kendrick was trying to get guys that he knew. It's like 10, 11 different guys, and all decided at the last minute to go somewhere else. Then, you know, I'm talking to Lester Quiones, and he's in the pre-draft, and he started talking about KO. Then I'm talking to another friend, and he starts, an assistant coach of ours, one of the guys gets in, Elijah gets into the portal, starts to show me film on Elijah. I was like, okay, pretty good player. Then Keontae, he signed with Vanderbilt, and then the deal, he gets the scholarship taken back, and then he goes back into the portal. We get Keontae, and then last Demarie, and I'm like, man, all of this happened without me really recruiting each kid and understanding who they were. So I got all these guys, and I did not know where this was going, but I was like, with their talent, individual talent, we could come together with the guys from last year, and we could do something special, but I didn't know it would be this good. Like, it's been the chemistry, the guys being connected, and allowing DeAndre and Kendrick to be who they are has been a real blessing this year.
No. Over here, Coach Bill Bender, Sporting News. How much do you use the lessons used from the 92, 93 runs that you guys had in the tournament? And I just asked those guys how much you talk about your playing experience in this tournament. How much does that factor in? How much do you use with these guys?
You know, I spoke about it. I spoke on my experiences yesterday. I talked about my team being together and watching film on each team. We didn't need the coaches, we did it ourselves. And because they were already talking about like watching the film on FAU as a team without us, and I thought that was pretty special. But just the run that we made and how fun it was just to continue to advance. And we had a tough schedule. We played Pepperdine, who had Doug Christie. Then we played Arkansas with Todd Day, Lee Mayberry, and Oliver Miller. Then we played Georgia Tech with Malcolm Mackey, John Barry, Matt Geiger, Travis Best. That was 3 really good teams. And it was all about defense and staying connected with my team. This team really reminds me of that, because very similar. That we had myself and David Vaughn, and the rest of the team just kind of surrounded us, and we have DeAndre and Kendrick.
Benny, when you compare this year's team to last year was obviously talented, but young. Felt like you guys caught lightning in the bottle the last 6 weeks of the season to make that run there. Where this team, it feels like they were made for this, other than some minor blips in the road. How much more confident are you going into this weekend with this group compared to last year?
Yes, it's a lot smoother this year. You know, we had a lot of things going on last year's team. And like you said, we hit lightning in a bottle, where we just went on a major run the last 6 weeks of the season. And we thought that we could come into this tournament and make some noise. You know, had a great first half, beat a great Boise team, and then had a great first half against the #1 overall seed in Gonzaga out in Portland, and just couldn't hold it together. But it was just the youth, you know, and also just got the chemistry going a little late. and couldn't pull it out. And this year, with the way the guys are, the team is more together, more connected from day one, versus kind of catching a stride later on.
Penny, kind of off that, when you have a team that's so experienced from the beginning, does that change how you coach when you have experience from the beginning opposed to when you have a bunch of freshmen that you're trying to coach up and bring along to your culture?
It's kind of twofold. The first side of it is you can't teach older players new tricks. They are who they are. So you have to be careful with that. But the other side of it is also they have to learn our system. They have to learn how I thought. And I put a lot of, I would say, more defensive pressure on them than offensive pressure, because I felt like we could just space the floor, and Kendrick and his greatness, and DeAndre and Alex Lomax, those guys could create shots for guys. But defensively, I called on them and pushed and pushed and pushed, and they didn't like it. But it's for this reason why we're here now, because of the defensive end.
Well, and as you go through that journey, you're trying to learn who you can push. And what'd you learn about yourself as a coach that maybe you didn't know in previous years?
I learned that I have supernatural patience. I mean, seriously, you have to have a ton of patience, and you have to understand where guys are. Because if I want to push this guy really hard, but I know he's not ready for it, I got to kind of work around it. And the other guys that I can push really hard, I push because I want those guys to bring the rest of their teammates up, because it's got to be player-led. It can't come from me all the time, and that's what I look for with my guys from last year.
Right here. You've experimented with some smaller lineups, I guess, down the stretch of the season. Do you think that's something you might employ against them tomorrow night with their three-point shooting?
There's a possibility that we might go small, with Chandler being at the 5 or DeAndre being at the 5 and having 4 guards. They almost make you play like that because they're so dynamic, and on how they play. So it definitely might happen.
Back here in the purple. Mark Giannotto, the Commercial Appeal. Penny, how much more, even compared to last year, but even just in general, how much more comfortable do you feel just in terms of in terms of what you think the way to be a good basketball team, if that makes any sense? That how much more comfortable do you feel with your philosophy now compared to the past couple of years, given what you've done over the past couple of years?
Yeah, I'm much more comfortable this year because the guys have been buying in all year, and I can see the work kind of progress. To whereas last year it was just a lot of mayhem going on early for the first 2 or 3 months, and then we finally clicked the last 6 weeks. But this year you could just tell from Kendrick's leadership, from DeAndre wanting to get back to this position and Alex wanting to get back to this position, that everyone was buying in from the start and never questioned anything. So I feel much more comfortable with this team coming into this year's tournament.
Quick follow-up. Did you ever waver in terms of whether it was 2019-20 when things were, out of your control in certain ways, 2020-21 where you missed the tournament, last year where things, did you ever waver in your beliefs in terms of how you think basketball should be played?
Not really. I mean, I have a lot of faith in God, honestly, and I thank him for just giving me the peace of mind to understand who I am. And I just had to get my culture set to where how I think the game. I've had some unbelievable assistant coaches that have helped me out along the way. But for me, it has to be my thinking, and that's what happened, is just kind of put more my touch and who I am as a person on the game, and it just shifted. It shifted in a really good direction, and that's the confidence that I had coming to the college level, because it worked on every level that I coached in, and I was so confident coming to this level that it can happen, and it's back to that right now.
Michael?
Michael Cohen from Fox Sports. Penny, when you recruit players out of high school, you might know them 2, 3, 4 years, sometimes even longer if you know where they're from and where they grew up. And sometimes players you bring in from the portal, those recruitments are so accelerated, they can be a week, 2, 3 days sometimes. What is it like to welcome guys into your program when you know them for a few years versus when maybe you only know them for a week or so after they enter their name into the portal?
Yeah, obviously, life is all about relationships and how you build relationships. It's the same in sports. It kind of parallels to me. I'm going to be closer to the guys that I've known the most, like who I've recruited for 3 years. And for the guys that it's such a short amount of time to get to know them before they actually sign with you, like the guys I have 4 guys like that, you build a relationship as the season goes. You keep learning them, they keep learning you. You try to spend extra time in film sessions to kind of let them know how you are. And I think you get their hearts when they know that you care. So I try to let them know that I care right away.
Right here. Given how perfectly last weekend went, do you feel like you guys are going into this weekend playing your best ball of the year? And if so, do you think you have yet another gear that you guys can grab?
I would hope that would be the case, but I look at every preseason, regular season, conference tournament as 3 different quarters, and then now it's the NCAA tournament. You want that momentum from the tournament, but every level is different to me. You have to go another level every step of the way. And I like what I see. I like what I see in practice on how the guys are locked in on what we're doing. So, yeah, there is another level that you can always go to because individually guys can still get better skill-wise. They can get better with game planning. And, you're happy as a coach when you see your guys just being connected because they're willing to do whatever it takes to get a win.
Mike Sadie, WREG. Penny, you have a lot of guys that are here for the first time. While you have some veterans coming back, you've been in the NCAA tournament. How important is this next 40 minutes when you're taking them into an arena they don't know, it's an NHL arena, but just to kind of lock in, whether it's the rims or the sight lines, but just kind of getting them locked in for what it's going to be at 8 o'clock tomorrow night or 9 o'clock here?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get them to that level to be ready for the 8 o'clock as far as mental. But I'll try to downplay it as much as possible. Just this is our shoot around. Let's get in here. Let's get our shots up. Let's go through our routine because I think routine and preparation takes the nerves away. Most of the nerves away, not all of them. Because if you're a college player, you've been waiting for this, and this is your first time. You've been waiting for this, your whole entire basketball career. You're going to have some nerves. So I think the preparation, I think routine definitely helps with that. So that's what we're going to try to get into today. Not saying, hey, we need to get you ready for the game right now. That will be tomorrow.
Over here.
Jeff Calkins from the Daily Memphian. I've been in the locker room. You may have answered this already. Kendrick said he wants to be remembered as one of the Memphis greats. How important is it to his legacy what happens next? If you look at the history of D. Rose and Memphis greats have done it in the tournament. How important is it what comes next?
I'm kind of in between on that because what he's done in the regular season and in the AAC tournament has been nothing short of greatness. And you do get judged harder because of the postseason, like where we are now. And I would hope that he could take us to the level that Derrick Rose took the 2008 team, or that Keith Lee took the 85 team, or even when I took our 93 team. That's an extra level, but I don't know if that would be his the judgment on him because of how great he's played. But that would definitely put the icing on the cake if we make a run, in the NCAA tournament.
You're talking about KD and DeAndre as leaders. What's the key for them to get others involved and you guys find balance as a team?
I think the key to them to get guys involved is to understand how the other team is playing them and just be unselfish. Pick their spots. Don't try to go in and win the game in the first couple minutes because you're in the NCAA tournament. You still have to trust your teammates and get those guys involved because the teams are going to load up on DeAndre. They're going to load up on Kendrick. So they'll see right in front of them what they really need to do, and they just have to stick to that and trust.
We have time for one more question. Right here.
Have you coached a player that you feel more confident going into a big game with than Kendrick, given his resume this season?
I have not. I have not had a guy with that much history in the game. Leading scorer of our conference, leading in assists, leading in free throw percentage. Has had a lot of big games under his belt. Has not made an NCAA tournament, but to just be able to take over a game at any moment and close a game. I have not coached that. Everyone I've had that could have done that has been so young as a freshman that they've been one and done and gone. But to have a fifth-year guy with that experience is great to have.
Amanda Hansen back here at the Action News 5 digital desk. And amid the uncertainty in the economy, inflation, the talk about a recession, it's no surprise that people are worried about their financial wellness and what they can do to make sure that they are prepared for whatever comes our way. And so joining us now to talk about some advice and to share how people can build emergency savings and improve financial wellness is Scott Thoma, financial expert with Edward Jones. Scott, good morning. How you doing? We're glad to have you on here. So I know that there was a recent survey that was put together that was talking about how Americans are really viewing their financial wellness. Can you talk about that survey and some of the things that came out of it?
Yeah, from a big picture perspective, we found that most individuals, in fact, over 90% view financial wellness as incredibly important. So I think that's a positive. But what we also saw is less than half individuals right now actually felt confident in their financial strategy. I'd say the good takeaway to that is that, especially given the environment that we're going through right now, they are looking for ways to prioritize things to get back on track.
You know, and with the cost of everything at the grocery store going up, I mean, you leave with a little bitty bag of groceries and it's $100. And I think so many people are wanting to try to improve their financial wellness. I know tax season's come up. A lot of people are going to get refunds. What kind of advice would you give people with these uncertain economic times, maybe ways that they can try to put themselves in a better position?
We're going to continue to hold on to the cloud cover throughout most of the day, maybe a couple peaks of sunshine, and there will be some drizzle that continues throughout this morning. But otherwise, it's going to be breezy. Temperatures will stay into the 40s throughout the afternoon. Tonight and the next several nights will be particularly cold. Freeze warnings will be in effect. But once we get the drizzle out of the area for today, we're actually looking at a dry stretch of weather. Spring will officially begin on Monday, mostly sunny and unseasonably cool. Highs that day near 50.
Prioritize those things and actually build a strategy to help not only get them started today, but also help keep them on track.
And you were talking about the importance of having that financial advisor and how they really can help them kind of have that knowledge, know which direction to go, what they need to do. You know, one thing I'm curious, I've heard people tell me in the past too, when it comes to having that emergency savings, that you really want to try to keep about $10,000 in, aside to be able to have in case you lose your job. Is that what's a typical amount that you would say people need to be able to save in order to kind of have that cushion if they need it?
Well, I think it really depends on their own specific financial situation. We recommend individuals have between 3 to 6 months of their living expenses in an emergency fund. So it's really tailored based upon your own personal situation. That being said, how much you have within that range is going to depend on a lot of different things. How stable is your income? Do you have dependents that you're supporting? So it's those types of things that a financial advisor can help work with you to not only set this is the right amount for you to have, but then also then build that strategy to be able to build it over time.
You know, and a lot of people think to themselves, this is just overwhelming. Like, I don't know how, I'm going paycheck to paycheck. I'm one paycheck away from really being in trouble. And they think to themselves, it's just not realistic for me to be able to build an emergency savings. Is there some tips and maybe some small things that they can be doing to try to start working towards that? What advice do you have?
Absolutely. And I think it's first important to validate that because, yes, the situations right now people may be going through may be a little bit difficult. So what are some ways that we can get started? First thing, make it automatic. Many individuals do retirement savings automatically from their paycheck every single month. Do the exact same things for your emergency savings fund, and that can be a way to start building your fund over time. Secondly, you mentioned tax season. You may be getting a tax refund right now. Use that tax refund to really fortify that emergency fund and build that foundation. And third, look at your spending. Take a step back and see where you're spending money. Maybe there's subscriptions that you have right now that you're not really using. All of those items can be ways to really start building progress and building that base for your emergency fund.
Some good advice there for sure, because I think a lot of times people just think, I can't do it. But like you said, even kind of combing through your bills and looking at maybe those subscriptions that you're not using every day, and just kind of really taking a hard look at where your money's going. Where could people go if they want to get some more information and learn more about some of the things that we talked about?
We recommend starting at our website. It's edwardjones.com/financial wellness. Not only can you find information about all the things that I discussed, but you can also find a financial advisor in your area that can help get you started.
All right. Well, Scott, thank you so much for your time and helping to get this information out to our viewers. You have a good rest of the morning, all right?
Absolutely. You do the same. Thank you.
Well, did you know that 1 in 5 people worldwide have inherited high lipoprotein A, and many people don't even know it, which is pretty scary. And that's because it's not something that's screened for, and oftentimes people don't even realize they have it, or the first signs of that condition until they have a heart attack or a stroke. And that's why we're really wanting to talk about this morning and let you know all the information you need. And joining us now to share more about it is the Family Heart Foundation founder and CEO Catherine Wileman and Dr. Seth Baum, Chief Scientific Officer for Flourish Research. Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Good morning. Doing well, thank you.
You know, I'm glad to have you on here because, I mean, hearing these numbers, 1 in 5 people worldwide having this and not knowing it, it's pretty alarming. And Catherine, I understand that you had a heart attack, unbelievable, age 39. And, you know, just tell us more about your story and kind of what happened.
Absolutely. So I was out gardening and I developed crushing chest pain and pain radiating down my arm. When I called the paramedics, because I was younger and I also was a female, I really had to advocate for myself for them to take me seriously. But what we discovered was that I had in fact had a heart attack because I had 100% blockage of the main artery that feeds your heart blood. And it took a little while, but I also discovered that the reason I'd had an event so young in life was because I had inherited 2 genetic conditions that led me to be at high risk. One is called familial hypercholesterolemia, which leads to high LDL from birth, and the other is elevated lipoprotein(a), which we're here to talk about today. And as you said, the thing about elevated lipoprotein(a) is that it's incredibly common. We know that about 60 million Americans are living with elevated lipoprotein(a), but what we also know from the Family Heart Foundation research is that less than 1% of Americans have been screened in the last 10 years. And it really shouldn't be that way. With genetic risk for cardiovascular disease, there's so much we can do if we find out early. And so we're really pleased to have this opportunity to talk with you and your audience about it.
And I'm sure that had to have been scary, surprising for you, and just an unbelievable situation. Were you shocked when you realized what was going on?
You know, I have to say it was terrifying. We hear that people are not very afraid of cardiovascular disease, but it still is the #1 killer in the world. And it was a horrible feeling. I felt completely powerless, and you could really feel the pressure of time that you needed the care immediately. So it was a shock.
So, Dr. Baum, I want to bring you in, though, and just talk about what it means if you do have a elevated lipoprotein(a). What does that mean?
Yeah, so elevated LP(a) is a bad thing. First of all, it increases risk maybe 4 times what a normal person would experience. LP(a) is like a very small LDL particle. We know LDL is very bad, causes vascular disease. Well, LP(a) does it. And there are 3 elements to LP(a) that are particularly bad. The first is it causes plaque. That's blockage in the arteries that feed the heart, such as what Catherine had experienced, but it also causes an increase in inflammation and increases the risk of clotting. And all 3 things can conspire to cause stroke and heart attack. We know that it's inherited. So because it's inherited, what that means is if you have an elevated LP(a), you should have your whole family checked. And then finally, I would say that even though we don't have therapeutics to reduce the risk from LP(a), they're in development, they're in research right now. But what we do have are other approaches, such as reducing your LDL cholesterol, something that's not done nearly enough in the United States. We could do that more aggressively in patients with high LP(a).
So, doctor, who should get tested for LP(a), and then how is that done?
Yeah, so I'm a preventive cardiologist, and I believe everybody should be tested for LP(a). It's a simple blood test. You can find out the results very quickly. The Canadians and the Europeans have stipulated in their guidelines that everybody should be checked. We should be doing the same. You can ask your doctor for the test, or frankly, you can ask the Family Heart Foundation for some guidance, and they'll help direct you to how you can get a test.
So, Catherine, I want to talk with you again. You've dedicated your life to raising awareness about heart disease to the public. And let's talk a little bit about what the Family Heart Foundation is doing to create awareness about LP(a).
So all year long, we work with health systems and healthcare providers to put into effect more systematic screening for genetic causes of cardiovascular disease. And we really advocate with policymakers to make sure those who are born at risk have the care they need. But during the month of March, we have the opportunity to go to the public, and we really appreciate this opportunity to talk with your audience to let everybody know that this is something that exists. It's common, it's life-threatening, it's easy to screen for. And so March 24th is Lp(a) Awareness Day, and we hope that people will take a minute and think about whether or not they can get screened and whether or not heart disease runs in their family.
This is really important to get out there. Like you said, this is so common, and people don't know about it until they have some kind of major medical issue. Can we talk about where people can go to get some more information and read about some of the things that we've talked about this morning?
Sure. People can go to familyheart.org. We have lots of information on our website. We also have a patient navigation center so people can call and talk to a real person who's trained, if that's their preference, and learn about what they might do to protect themselves and their family.
Well, Catherine, Dr. Baum, I appreciate both of y'all joining me here on the Digital Desk this morning and helping to get the word out about something. Like you said, it's so important that people have the information they need. Y'all have a good one, all right?
Thanks, you too.
And that'll do it for us here this morning on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Amanda Hansen, but don't go anywhere. We have Midday headed your way at the top of the hour, and we'll see you back here Monday morning starting at 8 o'clock.